Welcome back to On the Couch. Today I'm sitting here with Matt Tippet, aka Captain Triathlon. Matt is the director and coach of Elite Triathlon Performance Australia, one of the industry leaders in triathlon coaching in this country. Matt, welcome to On the Couch.
Thanks, Sharp. It's great to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Matt. Mate, there's been a massive spike in triathlon and participation levels in it. It's huge. I mean, Melbourne Ironman was sold out in a couple of hours. Why's that? What's happened?
Yeah, look, I think it's a bit of an anomaly in Australia in the way the sport's delivered. We seem to have a few different governing bodies that operate in the country, and one being the World Triathlon Corporation, and other being ITU, so the International Triathlon Union. And these guys basically deliver our sport, and they've been really good at packaging the sport as a whole and making it more desirable to general population people. So the sport's no longer this obscure little group of people. They're now mainstream athletes, and they're competing on a world stage. So all the races are televised live, and they're going all around the world. So what this means is that general population people pick up the race and go, you know what, I can actually do that. And the way that the people have been delivering sports, such as the World Triathlon Corporations and the ITU, as I said, is they've been pre-selling events 6-12 months in advance, creating a big need, letting the events sell out. And once the events sell out, it creates more hype. Because people then think, oh wow, I have to register for the next event a bit quicker. And it's just been this snowball effect for the last 2 years. And it's definitely quite a lot of people napping. You know, a lot of people aren't prepared for it. Coaches in particular weren't prepared for it. And even as much as athletes themselves now have to plan 12 months in advance to be able to participate at the level they want. So yeah, it's been unbelievable.
It's a fantastic thing that you guys are doing. I mean, you've been an athlete yourself, you're now coaching. They're a special group of people, these triathletes.
Yeah, they're unique.
Tell us a little bit about triathlete, what it takes to be one.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting sport. It comprises obviously 3 disciplines, so that in itself is unique. We often joke in the industry about, it's people that weren't good at one, now they want to do 3 sports. We don't get it, but it's a joke. Yeah. They are unique as a group of people. They're often pilot driven and quite introverted in that they spend a lot of time reflecting and looking and critiquing their own performances. So from that respect, they're really easy to work with because they follow instruction well. Usually a little bit antisocial at times because they're so
crazy.
Yeah, because that's a nice way of putting it. So it is definitely unique. But we've found our place in the sport, and the sport's found its place in society. And we do a lot now with development and things like that. So what we've found is we're competing now against the mainstream sports, and the kids that don't want to be part of a team, the kids that want to be individuals and do their own thing. And I think adults in our sport have often had a child experience like that. They've not wanted to play football or cricket because they've never really liked the whole aspect of team sports, or they've only liked part of it. And we offer them the alternative now, which is go out and ride your bike or go out and run. And it's great. So this whole other side of sport that people are being exposed to.
Yeah, I think I see it a lot with people that I treat, coaches from all different types of sports saying, I want to do a triathlon, I want to do an Ironman. What is the difference between the Ironman and a triathlon?
Well, look, I think when we take a step back and we go back to World Triathlon Corporation and International Triathlon Union, the governing bodies, basically World Triathlon Corporation released a distance of racing, and they called it Ironman. Okay, whereas International Triathlon Union also released a distance of racing called Olympic distance. Okay, so they're basically defined by the distance you race. So Olympic distance is the 1500 metre swim, 40k ride and 10k run, whereas Ironman distance racing is a 3.8k swim, a 180k bike ride and then a marathon, so 42.2k. So essentially they're the same sports, except they operate at completely different ends of the distance spectrum. Okay, so because World Triathlon Corporation is a private entity, they've badged the sport how they want, so they control it essentially. And as you're seeing now, being a practitioner, there's a new wave of ultra-distance triathlon called Challenge, which is entering the market in Australia. They've been around in Europe for a very long time, but now they're in Australia and they're pushing out a 70.3 distance race, which is half the Ironman distance, and they already have an Iron distance type event operating throughout Europe and in New Zealand. So big changes in our sport, but yeah, we primarily focus on that Iron distance of Ironman event racing.
And there's a lot of challenges in the sport, in triathlon itself, and getting into these bigger events.
Yeah.
What are the demands on the body?
Oh, well, they're obviously unique. We have a lot of problems with repetitive injuries. So injuries that turn chronic over time because of the repetitive nature of our sport. As you know, we run in a straight line. We often ride in a straight line, so our movement patterns don't change, and those start to present big problems. So we hear after 3, 4, 5 years of serious training, people starting to get some big problems with their lower back, glutes and hamstrings not activating properly, and I think that's a legacy of pedaling a lot and not taking care of your body enough in the early stages of development. So a lot of people do come out with chronic problems in their feet and their knees and even to their lower back, just through miles.
Now you touched on something there, preparing your body. Something we've been working on together is the triathlon specific screenings.
Yeah.
I think that's something, the word around the track sets you apart from the rest.
Yeah.
What is the difference between what you do and most other people? Because there's no doubt you guys are the industry leaders.
Yeah.
What makes you unique and special?
Look, I think other than the technical information that we hold, and I believe we do hold a lot of technical data that other coaches don't possess at a scientific level, we've spent a lot of time and a lot of resource over 2 or 3 years, 4 years even, developing our screening so we can understand what's happening for athletes. That is definitely one massive thing that we do that we know other people haven't worked out, or simply have tried to disregard it because it's too hard to manage. So we've spent a lot of resource working out, how do we do that? Just manage an athlete from the start when they come into our system or into the sport in general, and take them through to the elite level of an athlete over that 3 to 5 years and manage their body the whole way through. And obviously a massive part of that is a relationship with good physios.
Well, look, there's no doubt. The screening has changed drastically over the last 3 years in what we do and the testings that we do on them. 3 different disciplines, 3 different disciplines with endurance.
Yeah.
How does the body do that? How do you make someone good at all of that?
Well, you spend a lot of time, a lot of consistent training, a lot of time in the gym doing prehab and rehab, and then I think just a consistent framework so their body gets to adapt over multiple years. Let's face it, you're not going to get a 30-year-old man and turn into an elite athlete in 2 years. It's going to be a 10-year journey for him. So part of my job is working out where this person's limiters are, understanding what's going on with them, trying to mitigate his limiting factors, and progressively work on the things he does well and make him great at 1 or 2 things, and then make the things that he's bad at better over time. Because you're not going to teach an adult who's never swam to swim like an elite athlete. They just don't have the levers for it, they don't have the body for it. But we can make them 80% of that over 5 or 6 years of decent swimming with the right planning. So it's very strategic, and we do work on 15-year plans. So when we talk with an athlete and they tell us their goal is to go to Hawaii or go to 7.3 world titles, whatever it may well be, we don't look at 1, 2 or 3 years, we look at 5+ years. Because for us to be at our best as coaches, we need them for that amount of time. And we're 10 years now into our program, and that's the way it's turning out.
You just started a junior program?
We have. We've started a junior program at a secondary school, and it's the first of its kind that I know of in Australia for state schools, which is unique. We know the Catholic school system has triathlon programs, but this is a self-funded state school program, which makes it unique, and in particular where it's located, which is Williamstown, not far from your clinic here. We know some of the kids come from disadvantaged areas and they're never going to be exposed to the type of training and sports and equipment we use. So we thought, you know what, let's go head to head against mainstream sport and compete and bring the sport to the kids. So that's what we've done. It's been challenging, but it's been really rewarding.
Yeah, it's great if you pick up a young athlete who you can take them that 15-year journey, you pick them up in that important skill development stage where you can really fine tune them.
Yeah.
Anything promising coming through?
Yeah, there is. There's always promising kids coming through. The problem is keeping them in our sport.
Yeah.
Because you've got the other coaches from their other sports going, no, you don't want to do triathlon. Come and play cricket or come for a swim. So it's really hard, and why we're still sitting behind the mainstream sports, it's going to be challenging. But we're up for the fight. We want kids to come out on a Saturday morning and not go to cricket or not go to footy or not go to soccer. Careful.
We want to draw a line somewhere. So your relationship with Physiohealth, which has evolved and continues to evolve, it just blows me away with things that we're doing each year differently. What does that bring to the table for ETPA?
Where do I start? It was probably about 8 years ago. I sat down with Justin, who was obviously one of the founders of Physiohealth, and we sat down with a plan over 3 years because we both identified what was going on with our bodies in terms of athletes, and thought, there's got to be a better way of doing it. And it was at its very foundation, we thought, how do we keep our guys training harder? And that's what this has to be about. I want my guys, when they go out and smash themselves on Sunday, come in on Monday, get their bodies sorted out and be right to train again. So it's a very foundation. It started there, but now we're doing things that back then we couldn't even imagine. We're doing stuff with video files, sharing data with athletes and between physios and athletes, so we can go out and film an athlete doing an activity, send it here to you guys, have a physio assess it, look at it, athlete arrives a day or two later, biomech work's done, then a prehab program or a rehab program is put in place within 48 hours. And that's remarkable. So, what has Physiohealth done for me? Heaps for all our athletes.
Really has evolved between that balance between prehab programs, skill acquisitions in terms of fine-tuning their body on the bike or swim or wherever it is that they're struggling, keeping them out there doing what you're working hard, so keeping them out there working hard, because you can't afford to drop off leading into events as well.
Look, even, we do our planning, like I've been saying, in years, and right now we're 21 weeks out from Ironman WA. We're probably only 37 weeks out from Melbourne Ironman. So we count down week to week. So every weekend is important for our athletes that are working full time, and every week's important for our athletes that are training full time. So to make them not miss a key session or a key phase through active training and prehab and rehab is unbelievable. It means they're going to have better outcomes on race day. They're going to be happier. We're going to be happier.
You're definitely seeing that at the moment.
Oh, without doubt.
Outcomes. Yeah. So finally, Matt, a little bit of advice for anyone wishing to become a triathlete. What would you say to them? Besides, don't do it.
Go to a good physio. No, on all seriousness, start off slow. But whatever distance you pick to race, whether it's a sprint distance, an Olympic distance, or a full distance Ironman, try and do the distance in training as frequently as possible. So what I mean is, every 7 to 14 days, if you're doing a half Ironman, go out and do 5 hours training. If you're doing an Ironman, go out and do 8 or 9 hours training, as close to race day volume as possible. If you do that once every week or two, you can kind of guarantee you're going to get to race start in pretty good shape. Your only issue is, make sure you've got a good rehab plan post those sessions, because your body's going to hurt for the next 48 hours. And that's when guys like Sharps are worth their weight in gold.
Matthew Tippet, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Sharps. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.